Hi guys, welcome to Tisha Talks. Team dynamics you already have going. Moving forward towards our passion and lining it up with purpose. Welcome to Tisha Talks. We are in Women's History Month, and here at Tisha Talks, we are acknowledging and honoring women who have aligned their passion with their purpose. And I call these women PWs, which stands for Purpose-Filled Women. And today, I am so excited to have Jessica Bullock from Life Options Counseling Services. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you, Tisha.
This is so exciting for me because we're going to have the opportunity to have a dialogue that's hopefully going to be inspiring and encouraging to other women that are stepping out in their purpose.
Yes, I love
And
it.
So let's get started. Let's
Okay.
dive in.
I'm ready.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and the why behind why you do it.
Okay, so as you said earlier, I'm Jessica Bullock, and I am a psychotherapist. I've been doing this for about 15 years, and why? So, I think I always had an inclination towards the helping profession. Growing up in ministry, I've always been a helper. So I think that this was kind of a natural progression into like what I was going to do. And it has been so fulfilling for me. And I think about what would I do if I weren't getting paid, and I would be doing the same thing.
Doing this.
Yes, so I know this is my purpose, my calling, and I enjoy what I do.
So when you were younger, when you were in high school, did you know that this was something that you wanted to do, or was there like a pinnacle moment that happened? Because you went to college, right?
Yeah.
You went to college and then you went on to your master's. So how was that journey for you?
So actually, believe it or not, when I was in high school, I wanted to be a medical doctor. And so what changed that for me is I learned that I had to work with cadabras. And for those who don't know what a cadabra is, it's a dead body.
Oh,
so when
okay.
I knew that I had to work with cadabras, I couldn't bring myself to the point of knowing I had to do that. In addition to that, I also interviewed doctors when I was in high school. Come to find out, I didn't really want to do it. And so what it led to was me doing a little bit of soul searching, and I found out that I still wanted to be a doctor, but not a doctor of medicine. I wanted to be a doctor of psychology. And I think that, you have key people in your life that give you some pointers. And I took my dad's recommendation to interview the people that I want to emulate.
Oh,
and when I
wow.
did that, I was able to narrow down and really focus in on what I wanted to do. And that was life-changing for me.
Yeah, that is such a great idea, or a way for people to kind of uncover or discover
Absolutely.
Where their passion lies, or kind of narrow it down. Because a lot of times we have a lot of different ideas and thoughts. Oh, I could do this, I could do that, but what actually is for you in particular.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
So tell us a little bit about your story. How this all evolved. How did Life Options Counseling Services evolve?
It's funny because Life Options Counseling was never in. I would say it was never. I wouldn't say it was never. I would say, when I became a counselor back in the day, I didn't know that this would evolve into this. It started out with me wanting freedom with my time.
Yes.
And I wanted to be a mom.
Okay.
And I knew I wanted to be home when my children were home. And I didn't want to miss out on those important moments, because one of my top values in life is my family.
Okay.
And so I think that kind of allowed the push, because I wanted to create a freedom that I couldn't get from a 9-to-5. And the 9-to-5 is not for everybody. So I fit into that criteria, because I was like, I'm not trying to work 9-to-5. But I realized that, wow, I can help people and make it into what I see the picture should look like. Because unfortunately, there are a lot of people not doing the right thing in this field.
Okay.
And so I felt like I'm authentic, and I know what people need, and if I can help them and do it in a way that's not crooked,
Right.
then I will be doing a service
Okay.
to people everywhere.
Well, I want to come back to that, but I want to talk a little bit more about your family.
Okay.
So how many children do you have? Are you married? What does that look like? What does balancing motherhood and being a wife look like with also being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so it's not easy, you know. So I would say that, okay, so my husband, Kevin Bullock, I'm putting him out there on some blast. Hey, babe. You know, no, he is my ace, my day one. And believe it or not, Life Options Counseling Services will not be where it is if it wasn't for his push.
Okay.
Continuously pushing me when I wanted to stop. And I think that every entrepreneur needs to understand, if you are quitting every day, you're on the right path. Because it's not like easy work.
Yeah.
You know, you got to put the work in, and you have to, everything's going to look like it's an expense before it turns out to look like it's an investment. And I think that people don't get that. And so Kevin has been really instrumental in pushing when I felt like stopping. And he saw the big picture. He was like, you could be doing so much more. And it's important to know who's on your team. And so my family are my biggest, they're my biggest cheerleaders. The thing that means the most to me is my family. And it's very difficult because I think that every woman who is in any type of entrepreneurial type of path is going to feel mommy guilt. You know, mommy guilt is huge. And I had to one day, like, you know, get myself together and be like, okay, are they alive? Are they safe? And have they eaten? And
Right.
yes, they've eaten. They're
I'm
alive.
doing my job.
I'm doing my job. And, you know, there's 2 nights a week where I work late. And so I make sure that on all the other nights that I'm present. And so it could be very difficult to make the boundaries between being an entrepreneur and a mom, especially if you bring your work home. So you have to make sure that the people who mean the most to you as a mom and an entrepreneur are being attended to. Because it could be easy to sit on the couch and, you know, watch a movie together and pull out your laptop, you know, or take a phone call. So I had to make boundaries. So if I had any advice for a woman who is an entrepreneur and a mom, it would be to make sure you set very strict boundaries so your children don't feel like they take second place. Or your husband, you know, because he's like, you know, important.
Great advice. So I know that you're looking to focus more on couples counseling.
Yes.
And so I just want to know what that looks like and what you're expecting, you know, in the future.
Yes. So I'm very passionate about working with couples, and so is my husband. So we are aligning our passions together, and actually we will be launching couples coaching.
Oh, wow.
And so we will be able to go to the privacy of people's homes to do the coaching there, because a lot of times couples want the counseling, but they're like, I'm not going to an office.
Right.
And so kind of meeting them where they are, literally and figuratively, you know. And we're really excited about that. And we have also put on a couple of events that we plan to do again this year. So we are doing that together, and I think that it's going to be something that's really going to allow us to build together.
Let's talk about how important it is for the couple to be aligned when you're dealing with entrepreneurship and someone stepping out. I don't know if he's an entrepreneur as well, but how important is that to make that dynamic work?
Well, this is the way I put it. If you are married and you and your spouse aren't working on anything together, then I think it's easier to grow apart. Because there needs to be some, and I'm not saying that every couple needs to work together, but there needs to be some place where both of your passions meet together, where it doesn't have to be a project or even a company, but there needs to be something that you and your partner can come together and work on. And I think that's important because if you're building together, it brings you closer together. So I think that really kind of is very critical to the patchwork of the foundation. And I think a lot of couples they're forgetting their spouse and they're going off into this world and all these other things, and they have nothing that they share in common with their spouse. And I think that's a problem. You know, there's a lot of people who would disagree with me, but there needs to be something, a common ground that both work together on.
Right, so you're kind of like living 2 different lives and then coming in and like, oh, who are you?
Right, and then like 20 years later, like, oh, you know, I don't know how we got to this point. Yeah, you know, because we have nothing that we're doing or working on together. And I think that when you work together, it just strengthens the bond, you know.